G'day prospectors, Tony from Gold Talk, Leonora. In my natural environment, people that do the courses or know me outside of my normal work notice that I'm always in my city clothes and looking pretty slick when I've got my fashion on, as they say. But usually fixing machinery and running machinery is where I spend most of my days. This stage we're just about finished getting all the hydraulic leaks sorted out on Daisy Teaspoons behind me. It's been a bit of a mission over the last 6 months, but I don't like leaks. You know, hydraulic oil's sort of $100 a 20 litre can these days. So not only does it cost money, but leaving oil around in the goldfields is not acceptable. So I like my machinery. I don't mind old machinery, but I like it spick and span. Anyway, so today I thought I'd just give you a bit of a final on the 6000. Lisa's a little bit further up the hill at the moment, still bipping tiny shiny, and she's having an absolute ball with that thing. She's put in, God, I don't know, easily over 1,000 hours on it. I've put a little bit of time in, enough to get the hang of it, understand what it's about. But a lot of the things I'm doing is just observing what she's doing, because to be fair, she's putting the time in. And the question I'm going to try and answer is, if you had to buy a detector, would you buy a 6 or would you buy a 7? And I've been asking myself this for probably 3 months now, 2 months quite seriously, and the truth is, I still don't know. So the 6000 has some issues, there's no doubt about it, and to be fair, there's no such thing as a perfect metal detector at this stage. And even though Minelab spruiks about different technology this and different technology that, to be honest, it's not that much different. You know, there's still only a certain amount of frequencies they can operate on, and the electronic doohickeys leaving the coil is heading straight up and down into the ground. So until they change that, things will be just in small incremental changes. The downsides of the 6 are pretty minimal. The only sort of negatives I would say would be that the battery seems to take forever to charge. It seems to be about a 6-hour turnaround time for a battery, which is probably just a first world problem. It's you know, it's just an issue, but it's something you've got to be mindful of. The second thing is, you know, Minelab have, and I'm not being negative, I'm just sort of calling things as I see them, but Minelab's certainly gone ahead leaps and bounds with so many things, just in terms of the design of the machines, the electronics, as always. And then they still botch it up because they've obviously got no one on their staff that actually spends time out in the bush. Little things like the battery charger. So they have a 12-volt battery charger, and all it is the charger end and then 2 alligator clips to put onto a battery, which is fine, but 99.9% of us have got a cigarette outlet, so why not have both? Put an extra 20 or 30 cents into the product and cover that base as well. Like I said, it's a first world problem, and I'm looking at what I can be negative about. The only serious negative side to it, and I'm only talking about where we're using it, which is around the Leonora area and the WA goldfields, it's all I can sort of comment on, is it can arc up on the EMI, the electromagnetic interference. We don't get a lot of things like power lines or electric fences or radio towers so much around here. It particularly is the atmospherics. And it can be a right prick of a thing at times. It'll arc up and sometimes settle down, just do an auto tune, and sometimes not. Lisa's probably had 4 or 5 days in the last 6 months where she hasn't been able to detect because the machine's just uncontrollable. Now, that doesn't worry us because we've got a million other things that we can be doing. So if we lose a day's bipping over here, we're doing a day's paperwork over here. It sort of doesn't worry for us when we're doing it for a living. to be also fair, we only use the mono loop coil, the little round mono that comes with it, and we've never even put on the double D coil. We're having so much fun with mono loops, and we're so used to using monos over the last couple of decades. We love the monos, and that's all we've done. Reports are that the double D will help quieten it down, and that's sort of what double Ds do. There's sort of a cushioning effect. And that may or may not be the case. I can't tell you, and as I said, unless I'm getting paid for it, I'm not, I'm not doing too much research into these things. I'm just sort of going by experience. So the EMI is a problem which may or may not be a deal breaker for you. I would suggest work around it. I really would suggest work around it. The detector is amazing. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's not even related to the SDC. She's a totally different kettle of fish. And money aside, it would probably be my, for a prospector that's coming out here for up to a couple of months a year maybe, so on a recreational basis, it'd probably be my first choice. It's the only reason I can see that I would go for a 7000 is that the 7000 can handle the atmospherics. Up here again, I'm talking about in relatively mild EMI conditions. I'm not talking about tropical thunderstorms, but even days like today where you would think that there'd be a bit of EMI around. Lisa's up there. I just went and saw her with the 6000. She's blitzing it. She's having a great old time. But if the 6 was playing up, then the 7, it'd be a 90% chance that the 7 will handle it a piece of cake with the filters on. So, you know, on the downside, the 7 is heavy. It's a pig of a thing. It's another $2,000. And what are you gaining out of it? The odd occasion that you can use it when you can't use the 6. The weight alone of the 6 makes it worth it. The gold that it is getting and the depth at which it is getting it at is nothing short of breathtaking. And as far as I can see, it's matching the 7 blow for blow, except for the EMI. Okay, that's what I'm seeing on a day-by-day basis. Is it worth the money? Well, all I can say is my fallback position these days is life short. You spend $8,000 on a machine, and I'll always, and maybe it's just mental gymnastics to justify spending a shit ton of money, but I'll always look at things and say, with any sort of expenditure like that, and say, righto, the true value of the machine is only the difference between what I paid for it and what I can sell it for in a hurry. So 6,000, you'll get easy $6,000 for it any day of the week, probably closer to 7. You've paid 8 for it. So the true value of that machine, the true cost, is around $1,000 or $2,000. I appreciate that when you're starting off, it's hard to find gold, but particularly for the more experienced operators going back over old patches, if you can't pick up an ounce of gold with that thing, then you're doing something wrong. That's how I feel about it. And it's all very well and good to say that, but you still got to come up with that $8,000 in the first place, which is a lot of money these days. But it's just a consideration in the way I look at it. So both of the machines have still got the same failings, dare I say. No, failings is the wrong word. The same limitations of any of the detectors on the market at the moment. They don't handle salt. They're only seeing a fraction of the gold that's actually in the ground the majority of times, depending on the soil conditions. That's a good thing for me. So they've still got their limitations, but the 6,000, gee whiz. If I would have to say, and I'm such a fan of the 45 and the 5, but I would have to go as far as saying that the 6,000 has definitely made them obsolete. All right, and if you're going If you're working new country, I'll qualify that. If you're working new country, which very few people do, then 45.5, I can't fault it. I really can't. And we still own our 45s and 5s, and we love them and we still use them. But these days we're going for the 6 every time, and we've got every other bloody detector in the shed as well. And I'll be going for the 6 before the 7 these days. Yeah, but so if you're working the new ground, 45s, 5s, fantastic. If you're working old ground, which the vast majority of people are doing, you know, 95% of prospectors are working old flogged out patches. And it's quite true with some of the flat wound monos and the advancements in coil technology. Oh, there's a good name for a business, coil technology. Anyway, but with those sort of things that are now on the market, then they're certainly much better at getting the smaller gold. But if I could wangle it, I would go for a 6,000. I'd bypass the STC and I'd go straight for the 6 if the finances are there. So upgrading from an STC, a 45 and a 5, for me, subject to finance, is a no-brainer. I know a number of people, they're retired, they're getting a bit grey around the muzzle, and they've been getting rid of their 7s and buying a 6 simply because of the weight and the ease of use. Okay, there's just not a lot of drawbacks apart from that little EMI and a bit of bitching and moaning about some of the accessories, which is nothing really. So that's where I'm at with it. They're only my opinions based on a bit of experience, and hopefully that will guide people in the right direction. If I could give you a yes and a no, or a no answer to the question, should I upgrade, I'd give it to you. I don't muck around. The 7 is a wonderful machine, but the 6, tell you what, that's where I'd be going. Anyway, prospectors, I've got to go back and clean up myself, and do a bit of more work on Daisy. So I just thought I'd put this out there, and hopefully that helps some of you with your spending the dosh. See you, prospectors.